Yeah. So if I rephrase your question, when I am in stress, what should I do? That is one way to put it. Other way to put it, I don't know when I'm going to enter into stress. Yeah, I don't know. Do I want stress in my life? No. I don't want stress. I don't want anger. I don't want reaction in my life, right? But still I enter into this, or you other way, you put the stress enters into my life as unwanted guest. Peace enters from the front door, stress enters from the back door. Anger enters from the back door. Are you now inquire what it means by when the stress enters from the back door? What it means in yoga with reference to ignorance and wisdom. When it enters from the back door, I don't know. I don't know whether the stress is entering or not. Right? So I am in ignorance. When the stress happens, I experience, then I know I am in stress. Right? The moment I know I am in stress, first thing to do, what is the first thing to do? Yeah. I'll guide according to your level. That would be good, yes. The stress has 3 levels of manifestation. The outermost level is the physical. Yeah? Second level is the speech. I don't want to talk to you. Did you say to your mom? Have you ever said to the mom, don't talk to me now? So that is the second level. And third level is the thinking. So you see the physical, verbal, and mental. Now go back to the question again. I am in stress, what should I do? First thing to do in stress to recognize the physical, verbal and mental level. And to prevent that stress to continue, check that. Do you have a twitching of the body? Any expression in the face? Change it, loosen it. Unconsciously, I start, holding my fist. My face is twitching, I look, make it easy. First level. Second level, I have to become aware that I should not say, don't talk to me. You told me that you have said this. No. So I have to hold back at the speaking verbal level. Now the third level is the mental. Mental level is very hard to recognize, so it is good to enter into a practice. Enter into a practice. There are hundreds of practices. If you have 5 minutes, just do this 4-step relaxation. Understand also one part that is very important. The stress entered from the back door and its expression taking place at the physical, verbal and the mental level. Now that back door entry, now you have recognized it. You have become aware. you have minimized the impact of the stress. You have already minimized. So now it's a matter how intense the stress is and what should we be doing. That is what I always say, that you cannot plan to be angry. You cannot plan to be anxious at 6 p.m. today. The moment it is 6 p.m. you have a smile. No, I'm not anxious. Because it comes from the factor, recognition. So that is how you recognized and you became aware. Physical level, okay. Verbal level, no, I'm not speaking, hold back. The mind wants to say, Casey, you are crazy. Hold back. So when you hold back, you recognize it. You minimize the impact, what is coming from the back door entry. So the mental level, even if you have a lot of thoughts, but it is a big challenge because mind is heavily conditioned. So there we need to introduce a practice. Hundreds of practice, 4-step relaxation. When you are in the midst of lot of people, you start breathing deep, silent and slow. So now see that also will help you. When you say deep, silent and slow, you, mind, breath, body. You have to sync the mind, body and the breath with the deep, silent, slow breathing. How you start inhaling and experience the body, the belly is expanding. You feel that expansion. You feel that contraction. So the energy that is gathered in the stress will be released and come here. So it is not only the deep, silent, slow breathing, but it has to be done. Mind, breath and the body should sync together. I call this as a synergy of the body, breath, brain and the mind. That is what the deep, silent, slow breathing. Well, that's little deeper practice you cannot do. So while inhaling, Om Namah Shivaya, or Shantoham, or Om Shanti. So that verbal, you are using that verbal mentally, breath is going in Om Shanti. Breath is coming out, Om Shanti. Just why don't you do it just for 2 minutes? Let me check and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. And to go off of what Maya was saying too, like that makes sense, right, Maya?
So just,
Could you teach us, what if somebody has a lethargic nature and going into 4-step relaxation, they tend to turn that into a nap. So they really haven't done anything for their stress level. They're going to wake up, they should be stressed. What would be a pranayama, a breathing exercise that would actually help release stress that's active if they're a lethargic person?
You see, there are 2 steps. If one is doing regular practice of this 4-step relaxation or shavasana or any passive practice regularly, without fail, minimum for a period of, my other master used to say 40 days, but I say about 2 months, that napping will drop by itself. Because ultimately you will raise your awareness and you will not fall into the tamasic nature. Now the second is for a temporary relief. It is good to do what Patanjali says, quicken the fast breathing. I don't categorize under neither Kapalbhati nor Bhastrika. Just quicken the fast breathing from the ribs. Because it is that emotional nature, tendency. So here the tamasic nature dominates and you fall into sleep. So minimum, it is good to do minimum 1 minute. And after that, you do the relaxation practice. That is one way. The second way is when I saw Maya was already sleeping for a minute or so, so I started thinking, let me introduce counting. Let me shout a little louder and ask both of them to start counting. So counting of the breath also breaks that sleep. Saying Shantoham with the breath also breaks the sleep. You are introducing something active step in the mind. Active step in the mind is Rajoguna. It defies Tamoguna. That is one way. Third point is, now see that the person is tired completely. The mind is heavily conditioned, Casey. When we are tired, we have learnt for millions of years, though that impression is already there. When I'm tired, relaxation means falling into unconsciousness. That is, I won't say natural, but that is habitual. That is habitual. So when the body is lying down in a horizontal position, and the mind says, now you need not to move the body, mind says, okay, then fall into sleep. That is a very deeper layer of ignorance. People have it. Very deeper layer of ignorance.
Not too long ago, I wasn't feeling well. I had a cold and I was just hanging on, and then, again, student-teacher relationship. I went to Girish because he knows I have my regular morning studies. And I went to Girish and I said, is it natural for me to feel so tired? I'm just tired all the time. Is this a good thing? I should just let my body rest because I'm sick. And he came back to me with, a very stern, no, don't fall into that place of being, we always say, oh, go home and rest, go home and rest. That's the mind's way of keeping you in ignorance, because it's not hard for me to sit and do my practice. It's not straining on my body. In fact, it's probably going to help my body. But we've been conditioned, no, go home and rest. You don't feel good, go home and rest. So I went back to my teacher because I had that question. Oh, I'm always, told rest is good. I work so hard, I should rest, And he said, resoundingly, no, don't rest. That's your mind. And I have to tell you, once he said that, even though it seems like such a simple question and answer, right? It just seems so simple. My mind was expecting my teacher, who cares about me so much, will come back and say, oh, it's okay, take time, go rest. Mm-hmm. That's what my mind already said he was going to say. And he said, no, it's not natural. Don't go do it. Not for you. It might be natural for somebody else, but you know better, he was basically saying. And from that moment he told me that, I started feeling better physically because I went back to my practice and I didn't fall into that place that was like, oh, you work so hard, you need to rest, so you can keep working. And I started feeling better like immediately. So now at 50, almost 6 years old, it seems like it's so simple, but to have a teacher that you can go ask a question, like you're asking what you would think might be a simple question right now. How do I control my stress? What is it that I do? And a teacher tell you sometimes the answer.
Casey, you should tell the story, because when we were here, I used to give classes weekly, and she used to move her body. I refused. I said, no, that is not unbecoming. I refused. And her body stopped completely. Her body stopped.
Like things would just, it would just...
She told me, no, I cannot. My body moves. I said, no. It is the mind. Mind moves the body. I give you a beautiful example. In the morning I was giving a lesson. No, I am the body. I said, very good. So this is my cell phone, right? My cell phone, and this is my body, right? I asked her. So she said, it's okay, this is my cell phone, this is my body. What it is? So this is my cell phone and I am the cell phone. No. Then prove me, this is my body and I am the body. If this is my cell phone and I am not the cell phone, you declare. So the same thing you are using, I am the body. No, this is my body and I am the body. How dare your mind says that I am the body? This is my body only, but I am not the body. Her mind was not ready to accept. So I have to apply another inquiry, the viveka. It is all viveka. I said, what body is composed up of? Do you know? Protein, carbs, fat, minerals, vitamins. That's all. Oxygen, sulfur. Fluid, water. I said, I invite a scientist and find out how much carbs, protein, minerals, water contains in your body. Right? And I put it in front of you. Will you say, this is my body? Will you say? Do you ever say, the food stuff that is lying in the kitchen is your body? No. Now see that the same chemicals is present here. How do you claim that this is you? How dare you say this is my body? That is causing the problem. The moment you say that I am the body, the mind takes over and you suffer from not only tiredness, fatigue, all are accepted by the mind. Because I am the body, so I feel tired, what should I do? See that? Did you understand that? Same chemicals, it is present here. You clearly say this is not me. But the same chemical is here and you say this is me. Come on. Are you crazy? You are definitely crazy. So this is the viveka applied. So when you apply that viveka, you loosen the hold of mind on the body. That is what the ignorance is. That is what the avidya is. That is the first step of the klesha according to Patanjali. Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, vinivesha, pancha, klesha. See that? And the moment your mind opens up, oh, this is my cell phone, this is my body, I accept it. But I am not the body. Finished. So something happens in your mind, it loosens the knots of the ignorance, and you are free from the stress. That is another way to free from the stress. A little deeper concept, but very simple. Very simple. Oh, you were there, you know. Did you understand that? What your body is composed up of? Carbs, protein, water, minerals, vitamins, right? You find all these chemicals outside in the kitchen, right? Right? If you see the protein bar, do you say this is me? But the protein is already there in the body, do you? And you still say this is me. Why the mind has two contradictory approaches in life. It is contradicting itself. So it means, what is the truth? This is my body. But the mind, you remain aware and alert. I am not the body. That is the first step, to know it. To know it and to understand it. What is the principle? Principle is, okay, I can accept this is my body, and principle is I am not the body. So understanding, then we understand it. anything lying in the kitchen goes into my body. It makes my body, isn't it? Anything in the food store, in the restaurant, that makes my body. So if that makes my body, and if I say I am the body, then all the food lying in the restaurant is me. Finished. Period. But it is not. It is not. It means I cannot be the body. I cannot be the body. Yeah, I can extend that topic a little more. What causes the stress with reference to this? When I say, I am here, I am here. So this I am is equal to I am the body plus I am the self. Mathematical equation. I say I am here. That means is equal to I am the body plus I am the self. I live in ignorance. That is the cause of the stress. So when you say I am here is equal to I am the body plus I am the self. Now keep the I am the self on one side. I am the self is equal to I am here minus I am the body. You are free. The stress remains in the body, in the mind, not in you. You are always free from the stress. How simple it is. How simple it is. But we have to work on it again and again and again and again until the mind leaves the ignorance completely. Mind leaves the ignorance completely. What is ignorance? Incomplete knowledge. What is incomplete knowledge? Who am I? Mind says I am the body plus I am the self. This is incomplete knowledge. This is incomplete knowledge. So I have to complete the knowledge by understanding, by practice, and the life changes. Let us play with the mind. The mind plays with us and causes the stress. So let us play with the mind today and see what happens. So we should have operating principle. Very important, Casey. Write down the first operating principle. There are objects in the world, and the objects are different and many. First operating principle. We have to apply these principles simply. And you see, you will be in meditation just by talking and listening to me. First operating principle. Second, there is the subject that knows all the objects and remains the same. I'm writing down, write down the operating principle, then we will apply that. The subject is known as seer, knower, I am. Third principle. Fourth is, objects are known as seen, known, or I am not. Fourth and the last, two more principles. The real seer never changes. Real seer, that means real subject, never changes. It is everlasting. And objects are always changing. You understood that? All the 6 principles? Now apply that. Use your eyes. Now you have already written. Now apply that. Eyes are a seer. Vision. 2 eyes. Vision. Right? Just start telling the names. What do you see through your eyes?
Mirror.
Yeah.
Pillows.
Yeah.
Flags. Floor. Blanket.
Yeah. You see, objects are many, and the seer eye is one. The vision is one. Right? Right? Casey? Are you getting it?
I heard you say there's 6 operating principles, but I don't think I got all 6. So first is objects are different in many. Second is there is a subject that knows all objects and remains the same.
Yeah.
Seer, knower, I am. Then we went to objects equals seen, known, I am not. Then we went to the real seer never changes.
And the objects are always changing.
So that's 5.
5, yeah, that's 5. 5 principles.
Not
Yeah.
6, okay, so 5.
So now see that what Maya is saying, you also do it. Do it practically. Just look at, let the eyes are your seer, and you see different objects. Do you see the different objects? Yes, different objects. So with reference to the seer eye, that eye is relatively not changing with reference to the objects that we see.
Right.
Clear? That is what the operating principle is. So it means when there is a seer or a knower, that never changes, but the objects are different, variety, and eyes can see the different objects. That is the first step. Right? Now we have to question, eyes, do you change or do you never change? I have a specs, eyes have changed. See that? Huh? They change. Huh? But who knows that these sense organs are changing? The one who knows is the seer of all the sense organs.
The same one that knows
Mind.
when you're at a deep sleep.
Mind. Mind is the seer. Mind is the knower of the sense organs. The sense organs do not know themselves. So we reject all the sense organs. You cannot be the seer. You cannot be the real seer. The 5th operating principle. The real seer never changes. It remains everlasting. Now see, the eye, all the 5 sense organs were the seer of their respective objects. Now they have become the object. They have become the seen, because the mind is the seer. Second step. Clear? Mind is the seer. Mind is the knower. Relatively fixed with reference to the sense organs.
I'm a little confused on that because we're supposed to go behind the mind, and when you say
No,
the mind is
no, we are not going behind the mind yet. That is the second step.
Okay.
So the very raw first step is, I look at Maya, I look at you, the mat and the paper. So who is looking? Who is the knower? My eyes is the knower, the first step. So there is a knower, that means there is a knower and the known is outside. What is known is the objects. Objects are many. They are continuously changing. They are in millions and trillions. But the eyes remains one to see them. So that is the operating principle. So we have to play with what? Object and the subject, or the seen and the seer. Now when we go behind, and we question, do all these sense organ changes? Yes, they change. But who knows that it changes? The mind. So who knows is the knower. So at present the mind is the knower. With reference to the sense organs. It means sense organs cannot be the real self, cannot be the real seer. Second step. Now we are moving to the third step. I feel upset. Where? In the mind. I feel stress. Where? In the mind. Mood changes. So who notices the changes in the mind? The mind, which was the seer of the sense organ, but mind is changing, so it cannot be the real seer. So you jump instantly. Now, it means there is something behind the mind who knows the mind is changing. Mind is changing. Practical. It is not guided by cult, dogma, belief God is there. It is so practical. So it means when there is some knower is there, seer is there behind the mind who knows the mind is changing. Mind cannot be the seer. What is behind the mind is the real self. Can you go behind that real self? No. There is no way. That is the true nature. That real self is present in a waking state, in a dream state, in a sleep state, 24 hours in a circle, and then that circle repeats in a cycle, days after days. That real self is present without any change, is present in a waking state, in a dream state, in a sleep state. That is pure consciousness. That is real self, and that is the true I am. That is the goal of meditation.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
So, remember when I wrote you that email that said I had a dream, that in my dream there was something that said, that's stillness, put that aside, that's not real.
That's not real.
It was in my dream though. I was telling myself what you've told me so often. I've never had that happen in dreams, and now I dream a lot less. Since that time, I've been very aware of it, that I've been dreaming a lot less. I still sleep wonderfully, but I don't have active dreaming the way that I had. Not that I ever really say I love dreaming, I don't love dreaming, it just either happens or doesn't happen. But since that incident, because I've been so aware, because it was such a demarcation for me, there was something in my dream that said, stop that silliness. There's some anxiety building in my dream over something.
Right.
And then there was a clarity that said, stop that silliness. You are not the mind. This is not you. And then I woke up that morning and I wrote you and said, this is the experience I've had. And since that moment, since that recognition, I don't dream as much. I don't have anything.
You see, a small point of awareness changes the entire mind.
Well, so that's what I was hoping to hear, is that was at least, a piece of the seer, if not full blown, but a piece of the seer, as opposed to a habitual mind. Oh, you've been just studying this so long.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say, this is the habitual mind coming up in my dreams, but I wanted to feel like, and since things have changed since then, that was a picture of the knower saying, this anxiety you're building in your dream is not real.
Not real.
Your dream state is not real.
Yes.
So let this go.
Let it go. When you cling to it, you are creating ripples and the cycle continues.
And even Rich has noticed that I don't move as much. I'm never really active.
I see you. There's a tremendous
change. He says I don't move as much. He says I come in and I check on you because I wonder if you're still alive, because I come in and I see you to bed at 8 o'clock and I come in at 10:30 and you haven't moved.
She simply now, when I was guiding you, simply is sitting, and I know that she is not going to move now. And just few minutes before, her mind was forcing me to accept, no, I cannot stop moving.
Oh, my leg, doctors say restless leg syndrome, and I get these jumps in the legs, and I was like, well, doctors say, so I just have to live with it.
See the importance of knowledge, see the importance of the principles of the Eastern wisdom.
Having a teacher that can support you with your questions is huge.
So inquiry is very important. Now, I can extend that a little bit. The Master says, in a waking state, you are a waker. The mind claims you are a waker, but you are not. How you become a waker? In the waking state, the mind, intellect, ego and the memory all works through the body and the mind. So you claim you are a waker. In dream state, the body is gone. You don't take care of the body. Body is sleeping, and one part you see that body is sleeping and the other body is moving in dream. You see that that is what the masters have recognized. So it means in a dream state the mind is active, in the waking state the body and the mind both are active, in the sleep state neither the body nor the mind is active. But when you wake up, who says, I had a sound sleep? It means there was someone who remembers the deep sleep, and who remembers is the seer, is the self. So that self passes through the waking state, dream state, sleep state, years after years, weeks after weeks, months after months. That self never changes. That self is Sat Chit Ananda. That self is the supreme self. That self is the common element in every human being. That is the goal. And that self is the true nature. That true nature has 5 attributes: pure awareness, truth, love, wisdom, and Ananda. It is of the nature of Ananda. Extend that, I take you to a different state. I love tea for the sake of myself. Does that make sense? Because I like tea, that is why I am taking tea. Because I like tea, I love tea. But question is, why I love tea? Because it gives me pleasure. But if the tea gives me a burning sensation, will I like tea? No, I'll throw it out. What is the conclusion? Conclusion is, because I love myself, the source of love is within me. That is why I love tea for the sake of myself.
And you hate stress, so you throw stress out.
See that? So it means the source of love and the happiness is within me. You see, in extreme condition or in different condition, I love you, honey. Why I love you? Because you give me peace and happiness. Example. But if that honey does not give me peace and happiness, what I do? I divorce. Why I divorce? For the sake of happiness for myself. See that? We love everyone, anyone for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of that self. There is no other reason. The finest, the ultimate source of love is the self. Oh, let us go a little deeper and inquire. Source of love is the self. Is the self made of love? Yes. Is the self made up of abundance of happiness? Yes. Now, I can move into a different direction. It is because of innate awareness, or you can say subconscious awareness in the mind. It has a glimpse that there is something within, it is made up of infinite love and infinite ananda. So what the mind does not know it. What mind does? Mind creates a desire to live forever. Why? To continue to experience that innate love and happiness. But the desire to live forever with reference to the body is the ignorance. And then it creates a lot of desires. I earn millions, let me have 2 million. Let me have 3 million. Let me marry 5 times to find the happiness. You are moving in a wrong direction. So it is the desire is there because that self pushes the mind. It wants to push the mind in a right direction. The mind falls into ignorance. And then it has a desire to live forever. Why? Because that is abundance of peace and happiness inside. Come on, mind, why you are looking outside, look inside. That is what the mind says. You see that where the desire springs. Desire to live forever. Desire to be in peace forever. Desire to be in happiness forever. So mind has some impression. It got some clue. But that clue is translated into desire for seeking others and projecting happiness. That causes the ignorance, that causes the stress, and that makes you crazy in life. See that? Look at it. Look at from other angle. We were talking that I am present, that I am is the self, is present every day in waking state, in dream state, and in sleep state. How many thousands of times we experienced waking state, sleep state, dream state, that I am did not change. After 1,000 times of sleeping state and you return and then Maya says, no, I am not Maya, I am Casey. Not possible. I am. What is the hint? What is the indication? Now understand, what is the hint and indication? This I am is everlasting. This I am is everlasting. I had experienced a tremendous pain in the body, the pleasure in the body, but I am never changed. What it means? That I am is Sat of Sat Chit Ananda. It is the same thing when we step back from sense organ were the seer, objects are the seen. We step back, mind is the seer, sense organs are the seen. Now the self is the seen and the mind is self is the seer and the mind is the seen. It is the same I am. Same I am, same I am. Same I am. Now comes desire to live. And the source of that desire is the inner self that is full of permanent happiness and wisdom in life. Permanent happiness and wisdom in life. So who becomes aware of that? Question is this. If the mind becomes aware of that infinite Ananda, then the mind will never create any desire, mind will never enter into stress, mind will never cause any conflict. It is very clear the mind is not able to enter there. Oh, it is the self knows the self. That is the chit of Sat Chit Ananda. And we have already understood the Ananda. So self is Sat Chit Ananda. Absolute existence, consciousness and bliss. Self is absolute consciousness, existence, consciousness and bliss. What is that existence? Is the Sat. We have understood Chit, we have understood Ananda. So the self is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. That is one way to say it. Or you can say the self has 5 attributes: pure awareness, truth, love, wisdom, Ananda or abundance of happiness. This is the other way to say it. Now what else is there in the cosmos? Nothing else. That self is also the supreme self that leads to non-dual consciousness, non-dualism. So there are journeys. We have to step back and make the journey starting from, you have understood the 12 steps of journey, where we have understood the Savikalpa Samadhi. So the first is the Savikalpa meditation. In Nirvikalpa you enter into that state of self is knowing the self. And the ultimate of the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you realize the self is the supreme self, the non-dual nature. The joy of conscious living enters. Do you remember the 12th of the 12 steps, the way I designed for us to learn?
Is when we hear, and I know you and I've discussed this before, but when we hear particularly the Kundalini people saying Sat Nam, have you heard people say Sat Nam? Sat is I am. Is Nam from Namaste, like name, like calling, like saluting? And so are they basically saying I'm saluting I am? They say I am that, but we know it's not I am that.
Nam means name. You have touched a very beautiful topic. Nam means simply the name. And any name also has a form. So when we say Satnam, basically it is representing Om. What is Satnam? It is Om. That is why they say Ekonkar. Ekonkar. Ekonkar is nothing but Om in Sikhism.
So we just should say Om.
Satnam simply means the name of the truth. That is the literal translation. Satnam, Ekonkar. So now you can condition the mind in any way you like. And it happens.
You should just say Om.
Om. Priscilla is very clear about it. Priscilla never goes into that cult and dogma, even though she learned from Yogi Bhajan. No, that Yogi Mahan Rishi culture.
Yeah. And so, I know quite a few.
She says, no, I'm not going there. So, and in America, the people have been mesmerized as if Satnam and Yogi Bhajan is all about Kundalini meditation. No, it is not. It is not. Kundalini tradition is very rich, and Tantra tradition. That reminded me of one more thing, and that is very important. In every text, in any text of Eastern wisdom, Every text of Eastern wisdom starts with invocation. You can say invocation is introduction. That invocation also declares that there should be an auspicious moment to learn and treat the path of Eastern wisdom. What is that auspicious moment? So I would say 99% of the text, they have one or the other way to explain. I do namaste to my Guru, to the God, and to the one infinite absolute consciousness. Why we say do that? Why we say namaste? No, we normally say, no? Casey has already done namaste. So we begin with that, but why we do that? So that auspicious moment of learning comes when you keep aside your ego. That is why namami. There is another meaning of namami. Na means not me, not you. Only one consciousness. Let us start learning with open mind, not keeping any bias. Learn the principles as it is, contemplate and reflect it, practice it and realize. We miss this part.
When we do asatoma, even though it doesn't mention auspiciousness directly, the same way that
you are right, perfectly right.
Should we change our beginning mantra to include a mantra that has auspiciousness in it?
Yeah, we can do it. We can take the first verse of Tattva Bodha. We can take, or we can simply say, Om Namo Narayanai. Any word any phrase or verse which has the word namami or namo. Namo does not mean to do this. Don't do this. But deeper inside, keep aside your reservations and ego. What is that ego? The sum total of our thoughts, feelings, actions, habits, ideas that we have done today, that we have been doing for years after years. We have to keep everything aside. Am I open? That is the real meaning of namami or namaste. There is no other meaning. Whether you fold your hand, you don't fold your hand. But you keep that moment. So the moment you keep aside everything, there is an auspicious moment. And in that auspicious moment, the teacher says, you are your real self, you are not the body. So the ego does not return an object. You continue learning. You accept the principle, you contemplate and reflect, and you are ready for the practice. You see, that is why Vasudevendra Jnanendriyam. In our Tattva Bodha. So whether you say asato ma satgamaya, indirectly, definitely asato ma satgamaya. So that asat is gathered due to my ego. Living in the world. You can explain in that way. So I have dedicated my life to move to the truth consciousness, so I have to leave it. I have to leave it. Same thing, ignorance to wisdom. That becomes little complicated rather than putting any verse. I'll find out, I'll think of it, where verse to be used. Or simply Om Namah Shivaya. That will also. So when I say Om Namah Shivaya, Namah, Om, the absolute existence, Namaha, keeping aside that ego, how I see the image of the Shiva in the heart. Only you exist here, not me. Om Namah Shivaya. So that is another way to do it. Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnana Pradam. We did it. Natva Jnana Pradam. Now I'm ready to learn. So that is the actual understanding of Namami. Namaste. So when we say Namaste, I used to explain people that the moment you fold your hands, become aware of the 5 sense organs and the 5 motor organs with the 5 fingers on each side are returning at the center of the palm. And visualize the center of the palm. They do not touch each other, it is only the space. Ego hates the space.
Oh,
Ego hates the space.
that's interesting.
So
Because it's the unknown, I can't define it.
people all say, this is, I feel totally absorbed, I want to sit in this posture, I want to see the space deeper inside. So you use those images, You see that you cannot bring the center of the palm together. There is always a space. And 5 sense organs and 5 motor organs hates the space because they want name in the form to act on. And the ego always acts on through these things. So you keep aside ego, look into the space, and that space you can find yourself. Let us keep that space in the mind and let us start our journey of the Eastern wisdom. So that is another way to say Namami. Namami, Namaste. That is the reason we salute, we do Namaste, we prostrate before the God of name and the form. We prostrate before the Master of the name and the form. To keep aside our ego, to start learning. Mind is clear now. Mind has no grudge, mind has no reservations. Any reservation in the mind is the content of the mind. And the content of the mind is the objective reality. So what the mind knows is the objective reality. And Eastern wisdom is treading the path from the known to the unknown. So where to start? We have to start from the known. That is how we learn higher and higher stuff. When I say, do you know atom? It is known to you. Then I can explain about electron, proton and neutron. Then I can explain nucleus. So it's such a beautiful and such a minute, such a subtle journey that is what the Eastern wisdom is. It takes you, once you are committed to it, commitment, you are a seeker, then there is no end to this journey. Uttama sehaja vrati, madhyama dhyan dharana, adhamau shastrena chintacha, tirthatan dhama dhama. There are people who go to different pilgrimages in India. Our friend Lara. So the master says, if you are clinging to those pilgrimages, I went to almost all the pilgrimages. But after that, no more. Finished. So now the Master says that is the beginning of a journey, unconscious journey, habitual journey. That is the lowest. That is dhamma dhamma. So the word dhamma dhamma in Sanskrit means that can be laid off. It is so, useless. Second step of the journey is adhamau shastrena chintacha. So you study these books, but you are not attached. In one religion, the book is considered as the God. I don't want to name it. The book is worshipped. So many people, put their Gita on the higher shelf and then they worship it. Are you crazy? So that is the second stage. After you leave the pilgrimage, you are still attached to the text. No, you live that principle in your life. You have understood? Throw that book. It is useless. That is the beautiful way the Master speaks in Upanishad. Oh, so which book you are studying? Panchadashi. Have you understood it? Yes. Is the knowledge translated into an experience? Yes. Throw that book. Useless. That is what we do in our daily life. So first lowest stage is this, pilgrimage. The second stage is that we get attached to this. The Master wants, don't get attached. Third stage, madhyama dhyan dharana, means meditation. So you have to reach to a state where you can live into that state of meditation 24/7. Meditation is useless. Practice of meditation is useless. You are already there. Practice is useless. And the fourth stage, nirvikalp samadhi, uttama sahajavrati, the superior is to live into that natural state. What is that natural state? Who is the most natural in the entire cosmos? We can name it God. If that God has to do nothing, it is the existence which is natural. Millions of people die. Does the existence cry? I'm sorry. Millions of people take birth. Does the existence? No way. Perfectly natural. It is a presence. It is the highest state of the consciousness. It is the self. It never enters into unnaturalness. So ultimately the goal is to reach to that state of naturalness. That is all. Outside you play. Outside you play your role. Outside you play your role. The self moving or using the intellect full of viveka and vairagya, using the mind, lives in purified state, using the sense organ, perceives the self in everyone. Perceives the self in everyone. It is an awakened state of